probably 5 rides outdoors this year, so it's not a hell of a lot, but I've got lots of other cyclists that do a lot of riding, so I can get away with it, I suppose. But yeah, I would love to ride more.
So whereabouts are you based? Where are you living at the moment?
Yeah, so I live in Johannesburg in South Africa, and our European headquarters are in Tuscany in Lucca, and we have our operational environment with all of our bikes, etc., in Holland, in Leusden. So pretty much based in 3 different countries or 3 different parts of the world, which is quite nice. But I spend a lot of time in South Africa and Johannesburg with my family, and then I do about 130 days on the road with the team around the year. So Atlanta really put on an amazing Olympic Games. So I'm quite excited to go to Rio this year, even if it's not.
Has everyone got audio? So can we just have an indication from the guys riding whether you've got audio, whether you can hear Doug and myself? Just give some people some thumbs up or maybe make a comment. In the meantime, Doug.
I couldn't hear you.
Oh, so the audio's better, is it? Oh, you couldn't hear me,
no.
Doug.
Oh, there we go.
We have audio. Whew. Okay. So Doug and I just had some amazing conversation, and you guys just completely missed it. Nice and clear. Oh, that's good to hear. All right, so it's good that the group's staying together. We're with Doug Ryder from Dimension Data. Let's try and keep this ride together, guys, because you're doing well so far. You can do your efforts another day, but today let's just have a cruisy ride. We don't want Doug sort of unable to talk here, even though he's an ex-pro himself. So for those that didn't hear, I'll introduce you to Doug Ryder. He is the owner of Dimension Data, former professional cyclist. Welcome to your first Zwift ride, Doug.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you boys up the front, come on. Boys and girls, you back it off. Stop pedaling. Bring it back to Doug.
Cycling to the world, African endurance running has been pretty special and done so well over the years. So, I started a team after the Olympic Games in 1996, came back to South Africa, started a team in 97, and we ended up together to take an African team to the Tour de France, and we did that last year, and look after their skills, I guess, and give them the best opportunity to be successful. So if you look at Steve Cummings, he's a special guy, special type of rider, awesome to have him on our team, and he focuses on things that he can do and stages that he can win, and we support that. Similarly to Mark Cavendish now, who wants to race on the track and get an Olympic medal. So we're the only team that supported that, I think, and so he's super happy with us and really enjoys being a part of the team. So it is about the culture, and it's about looking after the riders' interests so that they can be successful and giving them the best opportunity to be successful. I guess that's pretty special. And then of course we race for a purpose that can really inspires the riders. Pretty special, and successes and deeper performances than other teams. So pretty special.
Just you mentioned Quebecer there. What is, for those people that don't know a lot about Quebecer, what is it? What is Quebecer and
So Quebecer is a non-profit organization that is about mobilizing people on bicycles across Africa. This team races in support of Quebec and raises funds for the charity. We are, one of the biggest funders of the charity, making a big impact on people lives, so people can get access to, through a bicycle, to education, to being independent. Transport is the biggest inhibitor, I think, in Africa in terms of giving people the opportunity to be successful. And our whole Bicycles Change Lives campaign, something really special and close to our hearts. And it's nice to have a team of riders that support that, to give a bicycle to a child who, can also enhance their life and do more and be better, I guess. Go to school, have access to just to be independent and free, I think. So it's a great cause. The riders will buy into it, and it differentiates us from any other team.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, I noticed someone was saying your goal is to get 5,000 bikes.
Our 5,000 bikes campaign is really nice. We want to raise and put 5,000 students on bicycles that walk more than an hour and a half to school. So give them an opportunity to be successful in life. And so whenever you see them, they win stages or are successful, they put up their hand, with their 5 fingers spread out, I guess, to show they're not high-fiving the world. It's all about the 5,000 bikes campaign. And it's a special cause-related team and a special thing that we ride for, and it's pretty cool. And the riders love it, and so do our fan base. And like I said, it does differentiate us.
Now, how are you travelling there? You're working up a sweat yet?
No, I'm in the sun.
You are in the sun. I'm in
the Swiss sun here.
You are in the beautiful Swiss sun. It is such a nice day. I don't know.
It's winter in Australia, in Johannesburg,
It is, yeah. I'm originally from Melbourne, and it's freezing cold and miserable, I got told the other day. So I'm loving this beautiful sunshine in Bern.
That's it, Steve. Don't drop the team boss.
What's that?
No, Steve just sent a message. Don't drop the team boss. Exactly. Team boss. You won't get paid this month.
Are we keeping this group together? Or are you leading? Are you out the front?
No, I don't know.
I think you are.
Okay,
You're just driving it on the going back to the old pro days. So, Olympics. Tell us a little bit about that experience. It's been amazing. Just a proud and...
Yeah, I know. Being a part of an Olympic team, kind of like 1% of the 1% to the Olympic Games. So for any athlete, it's a dream to do it. Some people only do it once in their lives and get one time opportunity to do it. I was fortunate to go once. Now I'm going again this year, 20 years later, as a manager of the cycling team, which I'm really looking forward to, and it's pretty special. So, seeing all of the finest athletes across multiple sporting codes all together competing for sport's biggest prize is just something really, really special, and something that, when you see the effort and the amount of work that people put in, to try and do something significant in the Olympic Games, it's a special environment to be in. So super honored and chuffed to be able to go back to the Olympic Games. But when I was there in 96, it was a tough time in cycling at that time, late 90s, pro amateur Olympics. So yeah, it's wasn't an easy race, but it was great to be a part of it, racing against all the professionals that were my heroes that got me interested in cycling at that time. So yeah, pretty crazy, but really enjoyable.
And that race, so you did the road race?
Yes, and it was all through the suburbs of Atlanta, through the towns, through the little villages. Absolutely brilliant. So many people. The Americans really know how to put on a show. So yeah, pretty amazing. Loved it.
And how did the team go?
Yeah, so there's only 2 of us that rode the road race. I was in the 50s. I think I finished in the end. Came down to a bit of a bunch sprint with a few riders off the front. But yeah, just to finish it and be there it's pretty special.
And your professional career, where did you spend most of your time racing?
Yeah, so I spent 2 years in America racing for a team called Team Plymouth, small team. I rode the Tour de Pont once. And then I raced in Germany also for 2 years on an amateur team. In those days, there weren't any pro teams like today. For riders like me, there was under 23 categories. It was professional, amateur. So it was pretty, pretty hard. Being a South African at that time was also quite complicated because we just come out of a dark time or dark era in South African sport. And so, yeah, we, it was difficult to get onto teams and to compete internationally. So yeah, it was an eye opener for me and taught me that I wanted to then set up a team, an African team, to give riders from South Africa and Africa an opportunity to be successful, set up the right structures so that they would have everything they needed to be successful. And that got me started on trying to create my own team like we have today. Past all of our expectations in terms of so we become a team that is very feared in the peloton, and a team that people aspire to be associated with and want to be a part of. So we've created a great brand for African cycling, and it's nice to have guys like Mark Renshaw, Mark Cavendish on our team, because they're great mentors and super good guys for, to mentor our African riders and help fast track them to success.
So tell us a little bit about the boys and the riders, like give us some, can you give us any tales, what these boys are like?
Yeah, there's lots of interesting conversations in the bus, and it's amazing to hear Bernie Eisel, Mark Renshaw, Mark Cavendish, banter together that they've raced for. So it's quite an eye-opener to some of the other, etc. But so I think some of the consumption, although this is the Zwift
this is public, this is just a bunch of riders.
But there's big jokes about nicknames, certain things that happen around different scenarios they've been in, different races that they've been to. But they're a super cool bunch of guys. And Mark Cavendish, because Reynard Janssen van Rensburg is such a strong beast and workhorse, and he has been for Mark this last 2 weeks in the Tour de France. So his nickname is Reynard Janssen van Legend, according to Cav. So they're getting along really well and having fun together. Shows in the performances, I think.
So 30 wins now for Cav.
Incredible.
It's really incredible, isn't it?
What he was written off this year by all the media. It was supposed to be the Greipel Kittel show, the tour, and Mark just rocks it. I definitely think it comes down to his track training that he's done with British cycling, the focus and the dedication for that. And to have 30 wins in the Tour de France, all-time second best, just 4 behind the greatest legend of cycling, Eddie Merckx. It's pretty special, and I'm sure it's something that he'll continue to focus on and put his name down as one of the best Tour de France stage winners of all time in the coming years.
I mean, there's obviously a lot of questions around whether, he's only young, but, is he going to stay in the sport for quite a while to come? I mean, you'd have to say he's going to go for Eddie's record. But do you think he'll be around for many more years to come?
So he's only 31. If you look at last year, Andre Greipel at 34, won a few stages in the Tour, 4, which is pretty significant, same as Mark this year. So, I think Mark is enjoying his bike again, loving our team, loving the impact that he can make. The focus he has and the passion for the Quebec charity has been phenomenal. The amounts of money that he's raised alone, just due to his profile and as a person and I guess standing in world cycling, has made huge difference to this team and what we do and what we race for. As he can around the world for the team.
At the hotel with you guys, and Cav was getting on the trainer in the green jersey, and was he
nervous? Mainly on the velodrome. He didn't get a chance to ride much, and he didn't get a chance to do hours and hours and hours of riding in the mountains from his home in Italy, because he was in Manchester most of the time. So the way he has ridden in the mountains through the Pyrenees, which he didn't really like, and it's been incredible. So if you see him, how he's suffering on the bike,
I just saw a couple of texts that the sound was down, so I think we no longer have sound. So we're back. We've got sound. I think apparently we've got sound again. So sorry, Doug. You told us an awesome story about how Cav, what the team does to get when Cav gets spat out the back in the big climbs?
Yeah, so we always, when Cav gets dropped in the big mountains, we always support him with riders like Bernie, Mark Renshaw. He has guys around him all the time to give him more mental motivation than anything else, helping him get through the kilometers and to try and catch the gruppetto. Because the time cuts are worked out on, the average speed of the winner at the end of the stage, and if it's in the 30s, an average speed of the race, like 36, the big mountain day, then it's about 10 to 12% of the winner's time. And if the speed's higher and the average is higher, the guys are racing from the gun, like in the 44, 45, then you can get up to 50% to 15% of the winner's time. So the other day in the Pyrenees, Mark made it by like a minute. It was about a 45 minutes behind the winner of the stage, and oh jeez, yeah. So anyway, Mark is a fighter.
That's good. So apparently everyone can hear us fine now. But Roger Hammond seems to have a big impact. Tell us a little bit about why you went after Roger.
Yeah, I think we wanted to attract, some of the best sports directors in the world. Roger's developed young teams, worked with young riders. What I like about Roger, he was an incredibly successful bike rider as a pro, but he was always the working class rider that had to work incredibly hard to get the results that he needed and got, I guess. So, to have him direct a team like ours with African riders in it, and, knowing how hard the sport was for him. So, yeah, it's nice to, to have a guy like that in our team, incredibly committed to the riders, focused on looking after them and getting the best out of them. We have an incredible high performance environment in our team. So, Roger's a big influencer in the strategy and the support of the team and riders.
Now we're going to be throwing random questions in from our good humans out there in the ether. So now, just a reminder, guys, we are live streaming this on YouTube, so you can go to YouTube and put in the comments and ask questions. You can at Ride Media HQ, and Rob will hand me some questions, or you can go to Go Zwift, at Go Zwift, and ask us some questions there, or even ask them here. Question from Xbox Golf Dude. How long before Team DD start contesting for Grand Tour GCs? Ooh, big question, Doug.
So, yeah, that's a good question. But, we want Grand Tour riders, the likes of Contador and Froome and Quintana, Aru, Nibali, very expensive riders. From a budget perspective in a team, that is a team, we've always punched way above our weight. And from the African continent, because the theory behind our team was, if Africa best endurance runners, why not cyclists? And so, we believe that is possible, that we could have an African rider of color on the podium in a Grand Tour in the next 3 to 5 years. So that's our focus. And while we doing that, we'll continue to do what we do and race how we race, which is to be aggressive, to go for stage wins in Grand Tours, and and spread the team's message and our focus on the Quebec charity around the world. But yeah, we're hoping in the next 3 to 5 years that we'll have someone in the team that can contest the podium of a Grand Tour.
Now, guys, if you can hear us in the group ride, let's try to stay together. There's a few people pushing on the pedals a bit too hard on the front. Remember, we've got we've got all sorts of characters here, so let's try to keep this bunch together. Going back to the African riders, they are absolute weapons when it comes to running.
Yep.
And there's definitely a pool of talent out there. Who are the African riders we should be looking out for now? And what are your thoughts on the talent pool that's out there?
So the one that's the big star is Louis Mankies, who's riding the Tour de France now, South African guy, racing for Lampre Merida. 12th overall in the Tour de France. super talent, super special chap. Was with us for 3 years. So he's pretty amazing. And then we've got Mahawi Kudus, one of our Eritrean riders who, is only 21 years of age. One of the few Eritrean riders that has ridden all 3 Grand Tours. So in the last 2 years, he's ridden the Vuelta once, Tour de France last year, and the Giro d'Italia this year. So I'm hoping that he will be a guy that will leverage that racing and training, for the better of, high performance in the near future. Those 2 are the guys that are really good. Natna Bahani, another Eritrean rider on our team here at the Tour de France. He's also a potential, GC rider and stage race rider. Was top 20 in the Tour of Switzerland recently. So yeah, all good things with these guys, and we hope that they'll shine soon enough.
In terms of identifying new talent, I mean, it's one of those catch-22s where unless they have bikes, how do you identify the talent? And how do we do it?
That's why, Africa is a continent of walkers. There isn't bicycles across Africa in abundance and little access to it. So that's why the Quebecer charity is important. If we can get more people on bikes, we can uncover the talent, get more people cycling and interested in cycling, and then hopefully find the next, champion cyclists through that program, which will be pretty special. But getting bikes to people across the African continent to see what's possible and getting it out there, which is never easy. So that's our biggest challenge. We have scouts all over Africa. We work with most of the national federations, asking them for their talent and their riders, and we give them as many opportunities as we can. Through that, the love and commitment of African cycling, with strong partnerships, we can, do something even more significant than we have been, and, take African cycling to make a real impact in the world.
Now, quick question. Just we're intermittently throwing a few of these questions from our good humans out in the ether. Okay, how do we say this? Wee Chong Wang asks us, how many calories do you eat a day in the TDF? Well, that's a good question. How many calories do you eat, Doug, in a day?
I don't
because,
eat very much.
You and I, we're not riding much, are we?
Drink a lot of wine in the evening, champagne when we win. No, but some of the days the riders will burn 4,000 to 5,500 calories, and they've got to replenish that and replace it. We have High Five as a partner in our nutritional space, and they really look after us, and the riders use their stuff to look after themselves and get the minerals and nutrients needed. But if you're losing or consuming or 5,500 calories in the stage, it's pretty significant. And what we do to monitor this, we take urine samples every day of our riders, every morning, so we can check the hydration rate of the riders and see what that looks like. And then we weigh them when they wake up, then take urine samples once a day, and do body compositions on every rest day. So once every week and a bit, and ensure that they are optimal in terms of their health and nutrition, I guess, to give the best performances on the bike. So yeah, it's really important to have a great high performance team around you to give the opportunity to be successful.
To diet in a second, right? But how do you keep helps motivate people in the group? But how do you when the positivity and the obviously you set goals and
no, so I think it's the trust in the athletes and the riders. So we we're very good at trusting our guys in terms of setting the right objectives with them, and we know exactly what each one wants to achieve in a season. Our role is really to provide them an environment to do their best work with the most support that we can. And when you look in a rider's eyes and he said, I gave my best and I tried my hardest, and if you've got a strong relationship with them through the sports coaches, and I guess me as the team owner, then that's all you can ask of an individual. What the challenges could have been, was there something that we missed? and then we just work from there. But it's a trusting relationship, with the individuals, and I think, it's about them, to make and be successful for us. If they have a good environment and they feel it, then normally, they'll perform really well. And having good sponsors that understand it too, and that can break the team down and break the riders down. But setting realistic goals is important.
Is this aquarium, Doug? Have you been on here much?
And I do every now and again when I get a chance. Compete against this high quality group. There's people that say, oh yeah, I can table tennis. And they have a table tennis table at home. Some people on this group, I think, are like that.
I'll tell you what, the group is looking. You recruit the support team and the riders. I mean, is you have a team of people that do recruiting? I mean,
yeah, we we have an amazing team of sports directors, and if you've got an incredible culture like we have in cycling and in our team, you end up recruiting or attracting the best talent in the market. And I think that's something that I've been incredibly fortunate to get done and have. And but for the most part, we leverage our brand and our culture in the team to hopefully attract best talent, and then we talk to most of other teams and try and find out who would want to be a part of our team and how we can attract the best mechanics, swannies, physios, osteos, managers of the riders, coaches. So we are a high performance team. So from a coaching perspective, we look at guys with PhDs, and our head of high performance recruits those, and it goes down to medical staff and to all of those kinds of little entities. If you look at a Tour de France here now, we have 22 staff looking after 9 riders, and that staff complement is made up of photographers, videographers, press officer, 5 swannies. Included in those is an osteo and a physio, 3 mechanics, a chef, a bus driver, me, 1 high performance manager, Rolf Aldag, 2 sports directors, Roger Hammond, Jean-Pierre Hendricks. So yeah, that gives you an idea of the complement of people and their roles, I guess, during the tour for the team. Also, a sports coach travels with us, analyzes the data, the doctor as well. So it's quite a busy time here at the Tour de France every day, looking after the riders to do the best that we can.
So well, that's a huge team, isn't it? It's a lot of people to look after.
And then we have a bus, our infrastructure. We have a big bus that the riders spend 200 odd days a year in. The truck carries all our equipment with a kitchen in it, and we have 5 cars or 6 cars here used by the sports directors, and wrecking the routes, etc., and a refrigerated truck for the food, and of course, most importantly, the champagne. Got to celebrate
critical,
success,
isn't it?
Yeah, you have to celebrate success, even if you don't win. Last year we had a special environment in the team where Steve Cummings went 10th in the prologue time trial in our first Tour de France. So we drank champagne on day 1 for a 10th place because it was our first top 10 in the Tour de France. Other teams are like, what? Who celebrates a 10th place? And we were like, shit, we do. So
10 glasses of champagne each.
Yeah.
10th place.
And then 4 days later, Edvald Bosenhagen went 5th in the States. So we drank more champagne because of our first top 5. Then Daniel was in the King of the Mountains jersey. This was all last year. So our first rider on the podium. And then Steve Cummings wins on Mandela Day. And then we really all had drinking problems. No, I'm just joking. Just a glass celebration.
It's got to be done, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to build the motivation in the staff who work so hard for the riders, celebrating success, it's critically important to the culture and connecting the riders and the staff together because they all work so hard.
So you're doing the whole tour with the team, or you take time off and go somewhere, or?
No, I mean, so you might want to know what my role is. I'm here, just as a confidant to the riders, keep the guys on strategy and the sports directors on strategy of what we want to achieve. I meet with rider agents, sponsors, media, you know, the organization, like the Tour de France organization, ASO, have a strong relationship with them. So my function is making sure that we are sustainable in world cycling and that we've got great relations with the governing bodies of cycling and of the event organizers, and with the media, the riders, the agents, you know, so that we can track talent and be good citizens of cycling.
You know, it's crazy. This is my first ever Tour de France. I've come over with Rob from Ride Media, but we're travelling around, and I'm just absolutely fascinated with, you know, the fact that the organisation and the fact that they've got to move all these buses and infrastructure and media. And you know, when I look at a team like yours and what's involved in looking after the riders, it's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, look, the Tour de France organization is an incredible logistical, you know, organization. When they move hundreds of vehicles, thousands of people, cops, teams, media, you know, it's shown live in 190 countries around the world, 2,000 media, unbelievable, the infrastructure that's behind this event. And it is the biggest annual sporting event in the world. It's really special to be a part of it and to see it. So for those that are on riding now, if you ever get a chance to come and watch a Tour de France, you know, it's a bucket list thing to do, and it's incredibly special.
Now, I can tell you what, I am very fortunate to be here, and it is the experience of a lifetime. Absolutely loving it. So you're working with Zwift. Obviously, you're here today doing this with Zwift. What is it about Zwift that you like? Why are you working with Zwift? And
yeah, look, Zwift is the best online, I guess, real-time platform that exists today. They're incredibly nice partnered with us because team, and you know, we want to do more and you know, and a deeper, you know, connection with pro riders. So, you know, Zwift gives us that opportunity. Everyone is time poor today. So having a platform and experience like Zwift, you know, available to people around the world is pretty special, and it just gives you that just extra enjoyment. So it's nice to be a part of them, and in the future we'll unlock.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that you know, someone like Ed Bosenhagen, who's a famous Zwifter, you know, like me, sitting at home in Melbourne, can ride with some of the big names.
No, absolutely, and our riders really enjoy it. You know, in the off season, they love riding on the platform. They also, when they're recovering and coming back from injuries, which happens fairly often in cycling, unfortunately, and you know, it's yeah, they really do enjoy it, and they love the interaction. They love the realness of it, and it makes indoor cycling and, you know, an absolute pleasure, and yeah, privilege to have a platform like this for people to consume and use and be a part of.
Now, there are a few other DD boys on Zwift. Should we look out? I mean, is this going to be a part of your regular? I mean, I reckon we should lock it in for, you know, training camps. A bit of Zwift, whole Zwift team.
Stay in the bunch. Unless they should just make the rides 45 minutes. Team kit. And ride in our team kit through the platform and contribute towards the Quebec charity, which is pretty special. You can also team bike and a bike to a child in a community in Africa. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of amazing opportunities for, you know, people to get involved and behind and support our great team.
Go unlock a Quebecer branded Chevello. So get on it, because it's a great way to you know, contribute to a fantastic cause.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree, Doug?
Absolutely. It's an incredible opportunity to get behind what this team stands for and be a part of Bicycles Change Lives and our campaign, and, you know, the purpose that we ride for as a team around the world.
So your bikes, those Chevellos, they're amazing looking things. They really stand out. How the guys finding them?
Yeah, I know they're loving them. You know, the S5 is fastest road bike in the world, according to Tour magazine. It's an amazing partner to deal with. They took a gamble on our team 2 years ago when we were still a pro continental team with no guarantees of racing Tour de France or being successful. And as a brand, they've won the Tour de France through Carlos Sastre, Giro d'Italia through Ryder Hagedal. They took a risk on this crazy African team, and it's amazing to have them support us with keeping us in the fastest equipment, which is just another opportunity for our riders to do the best performances they can. So 2 years, and we hope it continues long into the future. Cavendish loves it. He's actually going to be riding a Cervelo for the British national team on the track in Rio. So they're really behind fast, aerodynamic, high performance racing bikes. So definitely something to get on your next purchase after you've spent $183 on Zwift, right? Because someone else. So if you are in the Quebecer team kit, it's an opportunity for you to show your mates that you've made a contribution to someone else's life and made an impact. So don't be shy, go get.
Yeah, I had a crash recently, and I've got a Bianchi, but I wrote it off. And a Cervelo, they are beautiful. Here next to you now, and it's a beautiful looking through. Gave me one of those. So at least I've got a bike. That's the main thing.
Yeah, well, bikes are so good these days.
They're all good, really, aren't they?
No, they are all high quality. So many good products on the market. And
now I'm standing and looking at the Dimension Data branding here. What actually is Dimension Data?
So Dimension Data is a technology company that focuses on IT solutions and, I guess, infrastructure for customers and partners to run their businesses in an easier way. So they do everything from cloud computing to infrastructure to laying cables, connecting businesses, connecting people. So they are the technology sponsor and partner of the Tour de France to create a viewing experience in cycling that is unparalleled and unmatched. And we leveraging some of that technology and make more informed decisions so that we can get those marginal gains and continue to improve and do what we do as a team. We're also sponsored by Deloitte, fantastic organization with the most incredible people. The statement is the fact that matters, that every single day we're racing around the world supporting the Quebecer charity. And so it's incredible partners on our amazing team.
I'm just going to the backstory of Team Dimension Data. You started in 2007, is that right?
Yeah.
Teamed up with MTM. And how did it evolve? What happened from there? And what was the long-term sort of objective back then?
So MTN is the biggest mobile television company in Africa. And so they partnered with us and believed in the dream, this African team wants to see if it's possible. And so that started in 2007. It was only in 2010 that we realized that we wanted to do more. And we partnered with Quebecer, the charity, and we gave naming rights to Quebecer as a charity. It provided no funding to the team, but we wanted to race for a purpose. We wanted to differentiate ourselves from other teams. So the team was called MTN Quebecer, and that's when the team really started to step up and become the best team in South Africa. And we became the best team in Africa, and then started to take on the rest of the world. And that was really special. We suffered in the beginning. We didn't have the right clothing, didn't have the right support and experience. So we brought in some of the best riders we could afford to understand what the level of the international racing circuit was. And then we started to build the bridge through our high performance team and coaches to develop the African riders. And then in 2012, at the end of 2012, I went and presented to the ASO, the organizer of the Tour de France. And with the concept of taking an African team to the Tour de France with African riders in it, and they looked at me and said, I think you're on a 5 to 10 year plan, when do you want to do this? And I said, well, I only have commitments from my sponsors for 3 years. So they said, yeah, it's not possible. And then 2 years later, we lined up at the Tour de France and did what we did last year. So, you know, pretty special. And then at the end of last year, we're a second division team. We ended the season as the number 1 second division team in the world. And MTN, after 8 years, decided not to renew and continue. They had a great innings with us, and then Dimension Data stepped in. You know, they loved the brand, they loved the team, and how the world's media did with us as Team Dimension Data for Quebecer, because people thought that the charity was so, you know, I guess, so strong that it could fund a team. That's not the case. So to make it clear for people, we're racing for Quebecer, and that's how we race under that naming partners.
Yeah, that makes sense. And in terms of, I mean, I've always wondered, I know the racing scene in Australia is amazing, especially, I'm biased because I'm from Melbourne, but the Melbourne racing scene is fantastic. What is the racing scene like in Africa? Is there a specific area it's better?
So Eritrea, believe it or not, is probably the strongest cycling nation in Africa, followed by South Africa, Rwanda, Morocco, Ethiopia. They're all, you know, becoming really strong nations in cycling. But Eritrea, it is their national sport, that and endurance running. Whereas across most of the rest of the continent, football, soccer is the big thing. And so, I think it was the Eritreans was because it was an Italian colony. They've had 25 years of independence now, but yeah, special place, massive races that are there. There is the UCI Africa Tour that is on, so you can ride in races all around Africa. Not enough in South Africa, unfortunately, but yeah, pretty special. Yeah, lots of racing in Africa. Not enough.
So I'll tell you what, if you let's take you away from the team. Let's put you back on a bike. Do you reckon you've still got it? Do you reckon you could?
Me personally?
Yeah. Do you reckon you could get back up to your old fitness?
Yeah, I'd like to, I think, but
there's a lot of guys in their 40s and
yeah.
You know, you look as though you're in your 30s, but there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys still going really strong.
Well, I think people want to be healthier, fitter.
And girls.
Yeah,
I mean.
people. Absolutely. So they want to be healthier, they want to be fit, they want to be, you know, enjoy their life. And I think cycling is one of those sports where you can, in a short period of time, with a good group of people, you know, more people are connecting with cycling and doing it in their highlight years, which is pretty cool. And just shows around the world how many, you know, becoming more active. Fortunately, of accidents on the pointing. But yeah, look, it's a great sport to be healthy and to look after your joints and to enjoy with people and friends and around the world. So,
what's the attitude towards, you know, we've got that age-old drivers versus cyclists thing. What's it like in Africa?
Yeah, look, unfortunately, you know, the roads aren't built for cyclists and cars in Africa. There's no bike lanes in most countries, and so it isn't safe, and there isn't a respect from the motorists to the cyclists, and then sometimes vice versa from the cyclists to the motorists, where they take up the whole road and aren't very, you know, accommodating of each other. And I think that's where it needs to start. But yeah, it's you know, rather get out there in a group of people. Riding on your own is not safe. So you know, being in a group of people that, you know, love the sport and respect the road and the other road users, I think that's the key.
So we have about 2 minutes left on our Zwift ride today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here today, Doug.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your insight into this amazing team. It was Nelson Mandela Day yesterday, am I right in saying so?
Yep, it was a celebration of his birthday, Madiba's birthday. I think he would have been 98 yesterday. Great legend of a great human being, great person.
So what's left for you on the rest day today?
I have meetings with sponsors now and potential partners that want to be a part of our great team, and many rider agents negotiating contracts of riders, potential riders to join us, current riders that are with us. You know, there's an old saying, and I guess, you know, in cycling, that big riders, if they're not secured by the second race of the Tour de France, you know, they're going to struggle because everyone is here, all the best riders, managers, teams. So this is the opportunity to negotiate your future. Yeah, that's my day. It's probably ended about 11 o'clock tonight.
So it's not really a rest day, is it?
With all of you, it's
cracking humans.
Yeah, definitely got me out for sure.
All right, so everyone, a lot of people have said thank you for the you today, Doug. Andrew Bayless says audio is intermittent. Didn't hear how to DD limited edition swag. So kit, and then you can also get $1 for the bike, but obviously you can do that through the settings. But look, go ahead and do it, guys, if you can, because it's supporting a great cause and helping a lot of people out. So thank you all. We appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
And until next time.
Until next time.
See you then.